Well, thank you so much for taking the time, guys, to do this interview. How are you guys doing?
Thank you for having us. We're doing great.
So you're releasing your upcoming album, More Subtle Than Death, in a few days. How are you feeling about the upcoming release?
Very excited, a bit nervous, and yeah, mostly excited. We've been sitting on this album for such a long time now, so finally getting it out there is going to be a very freeing, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah. Well, in another well, from your website, actually, it mentioned you started at 2020, but I heard in another interview you guys actually founded a band in 2011. So my question is, why did you guys wait all this time to release a debut album?
Well, so we started the band in 2011, but we started it in high school, so we were like 15 years old. I think we had this trial period, I would call it, where we made a lot of bad music, and it wasn't really. I'm really happy that we didn't really release any of it. We did put out some songs, but we took them down again. Um, I think we got the time to mature and realize what our sound is and
try different stuff.
Yeah, and when we finally released our first EP, Global Suicide, in 2020, that's when I think we were on the right path.
Yeah, I guess you can only release a debut album like once. So was that sort of important for you to get the sound like as perfect as possible?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think either way we wouldn't have released the music we made back then, because we recorded an album when we were like 19 years old, but I don't think it would stand the test of time.
No.
And I'm very happy we have gotten the time to really perfect the music that we're doing right now. And the debut album that we're releasing next week is we started it officially in 2020, and we spent a lot of time working on the details and making it as perfect as we want it to be.
Well, what I thought about, yeah, like listening to the album, it felt a little bit, how can I put this? Maybe nostalgic to, the bands like Bullet for My Valentine and like when they started out in 2006. That's sort of the vibe I got. But if you talk about influences, the influences you have in your music now, are they still the same as when you started a band in 2011, or did that also change?
Yeah, of course. I think it's different for everyone, but there are some bands that still stays along with us and are still a huge influence for the music we are currently writing and we wrote back then. And yeah, but obviously our change and our like sense of music have obviously changed since then, and new bands have come along as well. And yeah,
I think the FIXATION sound really has gone in a new direction since we like rebranded sort of in 2020. I think the music we made before was very heavily influenced by like 30 Seconds to Mars, for example.
Yeah, that was a big one back then.
Which is still an influence on this album. You can kind of hear it, but not to the degree where it kind of sounds
no
too similar, you know.
More like influences more than to like copy and be them. You know.
And I think we've gotten new influences as well along the way, especially bands like Bring Me the Horizon and Architects started listening to around that period, and have the influences have snuck their way into the music we make now.
Yeah, they have.
Now, how do you guys in general write songs? Is there like a main songwriter, or is it all like a collaborative effort from everyone in the band?
I think it kind of varies from song to song. We're right now in the studio making some new music, and it's just me and Martin at the moment writing. But Tobias will come here later, and Martin will leave, and me and Tobias will be working. So I think it kind of shifts from each song. On the album that we made now, there was a lot of someone brought along something and we worked on it together. Mainly maybe you and me in the beginning, but then the band piles on as we go. And I think for the music we're continuing to write now is more the foundational ideas come from different people in the band, so it's very cool.
And
Yeah.
obviously we had learned a lot since back then as well. This debut album has been really huge, like, learning curve for us, for everyone, on such big variety of like aspects. And yeah, it usually starts with obviously like a core idea, but as people adds on stuff, and yeah, basically the whole production side of it has been become like way better as well. Yeah, sorry about the brain fart.
I think we're more. I think we're quicker now. We were pretty writing the album. I think we were pretty slow in the process. We were focusing too much on details from the get-go, but now we're more focused on getting the song to be a song, and then we can focus on the details when the song is a song.
Yeah, and well, what I was supposed to say was actually we have been becoming much better to just know what works and just go right there, not not too much trial and error. I think it's much more like, we know this works, let's just do this, and we know the road there. And yeah, the whole process is much quicker than ever, I think.
But I think we're also doing it without following some sort of formula or anything.
No.
Nothing will sound the same, but I think we know what doesn't work more now than before.
Well, the album's title is More Subtle Than Death, and I noticed that there's no title track. So how did you guys come up with the title, and does it like connect the songs lyrically as well?
Yeah, I think More Subtle Than Death. So I found a quote that read, society knows perfectly well how to kill a person and has methods more subtle than death. And for me, writing the lyrics, I felt it sort of summarized the whole lyrical concept of the album. All of the different songs on the album is trying to say something about how we view the world today, or the society that we live in, and especially what we want to see change in, and stuff that really scares us, and how the world is heading. And I think that quote really summarized everything that I'm trying to express in those songs. And yeah, had to shorten it down, of course, but I think More Subtle Than Death kind of got the artsy feel to it as well. So I think it was a great summary of the whole album.
Yeah, well, when you mentioned the artsy feel, I noticed also from your music video and, your logo and your cover art, that it's just all very, like, in a very specific style. So is that something that is also really important to you guys?
Yeah, I think that the visual aspect of the band is really important. But to be honest, on this album, it's been pretty difficult, I think, to find a like cohesive concept for the visual side of things, because it's the lyrics are sort of sporadic in the way that this song talks about mental health, and this song talks about social media, and this one talks about the environment, and it's not the most obvious red thread throughout the whole thing, but it's kind of a concept of this is how we view the world. So for me and for the rest of the band, I don't think it was that easy to come up with the visual aspect of this, but I think we found something that works. And I know as well as that the music that we're continuing to write will focus more on the conceptual part of it, and because that was also a big reason why some stuff took longer to release, was we didn't figure out the visual aspect of it, which is such a stupid thing to halt the process for, but it's important. It's
I think it's a result of starting the whole release thing before even finishing all the songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big part of things taking so long as well, I think.
Yeah.
And I think we didn't have a plan starting out.
No.
We started out with one song, Stay Awake, and then we just had to like finish up songs quickly, and we just put it together that way. And yeah.
But I felt we kind of tied the whole thing together.
Yeah, of course. I think
it
we did as
sounds
well.
like
Yeah.
one album, and it looks, from all the different visual aspects of it, I think it's cohesive enough.
Yeah, and I think lyrically as well, things started to like meld together in a cool way, I think, as well.
Definitely, yeah.
And a pattern starting
Yeah.
its way along the way, writing and finishing up everything.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, but I guess that's anyway the way bands should be releasing music, I guess, is single per single, and then according to Spotify, at least, you know. So is this actually a approach you can get behind, or would you rather change things up a little bit in the future?
It depends, I think.
Yeah.
But not like we did, at least not in that way, and not for such a long time. We need to have like at least something figured out before like starting out on this path, and have to commit in such a hurry, I think. So if we have everything's kind of sorted out and we know that we can get there, that's a different thing. But starting from scratch on some songs, that could be really tough, and I wouldn't definitely not repeat that process in that way.
No.
That was really difficult, and it was a big pressure on all of us.
Yeah.
Wrapping up everything, and not very fun either, to be honest. In the end, at least, really stressful, long nights, and yeah.
Yeah, but I think the way that you have to release music right now is releasing singles, because
yeah, you have to.
I think people's you know, the way they what's the word I'm looking for? It's attention span is a lot shorter than it used to be. And you know, we grew up with listening to albums back to front or front to back, and
going to the record shop once a month, buying a couple of CDs that you could afford, and live on that for a couple of months. And,
so you had to learn to love every song in the album as well. And I think there's a lot of beauty in that, and I love the album as a whole. I love the concept of an album, but I know that the way we will have to do it is by releasing singles, and we'll just try to make that process a little more like effective.
And
compared to earlier,
we learn a lot writing faster as well. I think that's a result of this whole process as well, grinding through all this. I think we've become better songwriters after this, and I think we have learned to like work faster and get to finish line a lot faster as well. We know what it takes to get there, the whole like recording side of things, writing. We know what kind of like traps we don't want to get into. We didn't know back then, and it was much more trial and error back then as well, especially since we're doing everything ourselves as well. So I think basically we just learned to become better at this way of working. So I think a short answer to your question is, I think we can definitely do that process again, but just way smarter, and by having a plan by the beginning of basically before releasing anything. But it's easy for me to say it right now. We might as well just be on our way to that path once again.
Cross our fingers, why not?
When you guys mentioned that it was difficult to get like the visual side together, is it also part, like, are you guys perfectionists in a way as well? Does everything need to be 200% perfect?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of us in the band are like really like that. I think especially me and Tobias, our guitarist, we're super perfectionists to the point where it's maybe not that healthy, you know. Whereas Martin can make something sound perfect, but not maybe stress about the minor details as much as we do. I think it sounds the same anyways, you know. But that was a big big part of also the visual side of things, I think. Because like for a music video, for an artwork or something, it was like, could that take be 1 second shorter, or could that font be 1 size smaller? You know, it was always some small thing made it take a lot longer than it maybe had to.
Yeah.
It's obviously because of the whole thing that it's a debut album. We want to like make a statement. We're the new kids in the block. We want to, yeah, everything has to be like we imagine in our heads, and without doing it before, it's hard, I think, to really tell and know what you want. I think everyone has their own kind of idea of how the end result is supposed to look like, and yeah, having this in mind this time around and in the future, I think it's going to be much faster. We know that, yeah, as along with the side of music as well, the visual sides, the whole yeah, label side of things as well. Everything was new to us back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole album by itself in every way has been a huge like learning curve for everyone, I think. Visual music, label stuff, the whole industry.
Yeah,
there's so much new stuff for us, and yeah. But yeah,
I think we're on a good path now.
I think so as well.
Yeah, well, when I got to know you guys because I went to the Devin Townsend show in Helsinki, right? So you were the support band. And you're talking about a learning curve as well. And I'm assuming that was your maybe first tour ever, or like at least the biggest one. So how was it to go from being a band that didn't really actively tour so much to being on tour with Devin Townsend?
I mean, it's a crazy first tour, you know, being with such a legend as Devin Townsend, and we kind of dove into it pretty blindly. We didn't really have any idea of what we were getting into. It was sort of, you know, you've been dreaming of this ever since you were a teenager, and you've visualized for yourself how it's going to be, but you never know until you're out there. And we definitely, that was a huge learning curve. I think we're going on a new tour now in October, and I think we're going to be a lot more prepared for this one, to say the least. And but to be honest, it went really well because the whole team that we were there with, the whole Devin team and the band and Devin himself, were such loving and welcoming people that really took us in and made us feel welcome, and it's a lot easier to face. So I don't think if we didn't have that support from them, it would be as perfect as it turned out to be. So, but we definitely learned a lot from that, and I think we're gonna carry that on with us for the next tour, definitely.
Is there anything that you wish somebody had told you on that first tour that you didn't prepare for, which you will prepare for on the second tour?
I have one, and I've said this a couple of times now, but bring more underwear and socks. You're gonna be gone for such a long time, and you know, you kind of want to switch it up every day, as well as you're playing a show which gets kind of sweaty. So you know, it's not that easy to get it washed while you're traveling every day. We did go to a laundromat in Marseille, I think, and we put all our washing in, and then we put it in the dryer, but the dryer didn't work, so we had to hang up everything in the backstage. So it was completely covered with our underwear and socks and some t-shirts and stuff. So yeah, I will bring more this time around, I think.
And maybe map out where we can do that sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah. I think our drummer Ola, he's already made like a map of every laundromat close to the venues right now. So we're really prepared this time around for that. Yeah, if we run dry on those things, we can always go wash it up.
Well, you're gonna go on tour in October with And It's Okay. So is there anything you can tell your fans about kind of show are you gonna play the new songs, or is there new songs maybe you plan to play, or still a secret?
I think no, it's not a secret. We're playing, of course, mostly songs from the album and some of the songs from Global Suicide EP as well. I think we're gonna focus more on getting the show a little more elevated than it has been before this time around. And yeah, we're still going to go hang out in the merch after the shows and talk to everyone, which we're really looking forward to. I think it's going to be a really fun time. The tour we did with Devin has been a learning curve in the way as well as for like our synergy on stage and playing the songs better. You know, you get kind of used to playing them after a while, and we really we'll be more sort of relaxed on stage, I think, not overthink stuff as much. And yeah, it's been the year where we've played the most shows ever, so it's been I think it's really helped us as a live band to become better at what we do, you know. And I think that's going to show on the tour.
Going into the first tour, were you really nervous the first couple of shows around in your playing? I mean, then.
Yeah, I was so nervous.
We started out in Oslo, our hometown, and a really like famous stage that we all have been dreaming of playing on. So that was a rough one starting out there.
Yeah, it was really rough for me because I'd been like stressing so much leading up to that first show, and as he says, it's a venue that we've always wanted to play, and then we go up on stage, and I don't think my mind was completely ready for that, so I like totally lost my voice in the middle of the show. There was nothing left. A really good thing was going to Helsinki, which was the second show. I feel like I got some time to process that, and it went a lot smoother that time around.
That one,
but I think I needed that sort of punch in the face to begin with, to just like really seriously sit down and just de-stress.
That's the thing about, I think, what I at least learned from this tour is you don't get that much time to like mentally prepare getting on stage, because there's so much to do when you're doing everything yourself. You're like doing all the backline stuff, the merch, getting ourselves prepared, traveling. And start of the tour we actually drove ourselves as well, so that was that's more challenging than I actually expected it to be. And glad we didn't do that for the whole thing.
Yeah,
I don't think we could have made it.
I don't think everyone would come back alive.
No.
We would kill each other.
But back to the mentally prepared sort of thing. You don't, at least for me, like I said, you don't realize that you're going to play in front of like that many people before maybe 2 minutes before you're going on stage. There's so much to do. You have to eat, you have to relax, you have to like do all this kind of prepping stuff. So yeah, that was I guess you can say like a punch into my face at least. And maybe during the tour as well, like learning how to deal with that sort of stuff, just going up there and just switch to a different kind of role. And I think we all got pretty good at it.
Yeah, I think the shows after the tour has been more it's gone better for each time, because we learned so much from that. And there's good days and bad for like the physical aspect of things, but I think overall the general feeling in the band is a lot more better, and the self like conscious part of things is a lot better as well.
Yeah, in the past we're used to like maybe being on the venue the whole day and having time to like relax and stress down, but on tour you don't get time to do that at all. I think maybe if you have like a crew and stuff, but For the time being, we don't have. If you don't want to help us out, everyone out there. So yeah, I think that's been a good one for us. Just in like Jonas said earlier, with the whole Devin crew being so nice to us, has helped a lot, especially since that was the first timer for us, just to be a bit more relaxed about the whole thing, and yeah, basically like dipping our toes into this huge world that we have just
Crazy
started
industry.
into.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you were any bit nervous during the Helsinki show, I did not notice at all. So that's pretty cool then. But yeah, today actually Tuska Festival announced that you're also playing next summer in Finland.
Yeah.
Is the festival summer so far looking good for you guys, or like are there going to be more announced soon?
I was kind of surprised that we actually got to announce Tuska this early, but I'm very happy we did. And yeah, we have some other shows for next summer, but I'm not sure when we'll be able to announce it yet. But it's really nice to get the Tuska announcement out there, because we went to Finland. It's like, me personally, I went to Finland 3 times this year. And for the tour, we played in Helsinki, Tampere, and Oulu. And we also played Q-Stock in Oulu this year. And for me, and I think for a lot of the guys in the band, it was the first time being in Finland. And what we all felt from the Finnish audience is so much love and energy, and also all the people working at the venues and the festival have all been so nice. And we're just really looking forward to being back in Finland, because yeah, we've gotten a lot of we feel a lot of love for the country, so can't wait to be back there again, especially at Tuska Festival, which will be amazing.
Yeah, well, on that note, I think I don't have any questions left, so I think that's a good way to end it. But do you have any last thoughts you want to share with your fans and people who will be watching this?
Yeah, so our debut album, We're Subtle in Death, will be out September 8th. We have worked on this for such a long time. It's
Way too long.
way too long time. But it's been an amazing experience working on it, and we're so proud of it. We're so happy with the results, and we can't wait for the whole world to hear it. If you like the music, please pick it up. We have CDs and vinyls, and it's everywhere to stream. So that would show all the support in the world for us. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much.